Okay, you've got a ministry problem that's just got you stumped and you don't know what to do. You ask ChatGPT for ideas, you Google how other churches handled this problem, you download 3 templates from ministry website, and somehow, some way, none of it feels right for your situation. Because your church isn't a templated church, and your people aren't templated people. That's what we're talking about today here on the Healthy Church Staff Podcast. Hi there, my name's Todd Rhoades, one of the co-founders over at chemistrystaffing.com, along with my colleague, Matt Steen. And I am so glad that you're here today. We're in the middle of a series on AI. I'm calling the human touch. We're talking about how AI and automation can help and maybe not help our churches. And this is one of the things that I'm seeing happen in churches quite a bit here lately. We're outsourcing our creative thinking, not just to artificial intelligence, but to cookie cutter solutions that work somewhere else. And we've been doing this for years. AI has not introduced this to most churches. We look to larger churches, larger ministry trends, and that's not entirely bad. But sometimes if we're looking for a cookie cutter solution that works, just because something works somewhere else does not mean that it's going to work at our church. Matter of fact, it probably won't. We look to ministry consultants a lot of times who've never met your people, and we go to the latest conference strategy that sounds really impressive, and all those things are great. I love conferences. I love a good conference. I am a consultant and a coach. Don't take the advice never to give me a call. I still want to talk to you. But here's the thing. Your ministry challenges are your ministry challenges, and they are beautifully unique. And that's sometimes where the magic happens. But we lose something in the process. We're forgetting that God wired you for creative problem solving. We're defaulting to what's the template instead of what's the calling. Now, I think I've developed a whole bunch of templates for churches and love for you to get your hands on them, right? But you can grab ideas, but if you just take a template from anywhere and you just say, this is it, this is what we're doing in my church, you probably will fail. If you take everything that a consultant tells you who's outside and doesn't know your church, if you take everything they tell you and just say, yep, absolutely, you're probably going to fail. Because when we do that, we're copying instead of creating. Now, you can use a template to get you there, to get your thinking started. But don't just follow the formula of somebody else. You need to follow, we've been talking about this all week, you need to be open and following the Spirit. We're asking what works instead of what's needed here. And I think there's nothing wrong with learning from others. I just mentioned that. But wholesale copying, that's not leadership. Or taking somebody else's sermon, having AI write your sermon for Sunday word for word. Not good. That's not good. That's wholesale copying. And not going to be good for the health of your church or the health of your staff for the long run. I'm just telling you. Your church needs you to be creative. You say, Todd, I'm not really all that. God hasn't wired me to be creative. You know what? He's put you where you are with the skill and the wiring that you have, because that's where he wants you. You think, Todd, I don't have a creative lick in me, but you do know things. You know your people's actual stories because you sat in their living rooms during their crises. You understand the unique DNA of your community. You understand what makes your community different from the town over. You connect the dots that an algorithm, an AI, a ChatGPT, a template never, ever could. And you sense what your church needs in ways that nobody else can even begin to imagine. This is, you might not think of it this way, but this is your creative edge. But you're creative. This might be your problem. Your creativity requires courage. Okay? You're creative, but maybe you don't have the courage behind it. Maybe you're afraid of failure. Maybe you're afraid that trying to solve a problem on your own or come up with a creative solution based on what your church needs just won't work. Maybe you've been stung in the past and had failures. But I would encourage you, You need to be asking what if instead of what's been done before, what's been done somewhere else. It's combining two unrelated ideas into something new. It's letting your team brainstorm without immediately shooting down ideas. It's starting pilot programs instead of perfect launches. It's saying, let's try this more and let's research this. Because the bottom line for today is your ministry problems need your creative fingerprint, not somebody else's copy and paste solution. So this week, I want you to pick one ministry challenge that you've been stuck on. And instead of going to ChatGPT, instead of going to Google, instead of running it through your Claude Cowork, don't ask for those solutions. Grab two people who know your church. Maybe they're people on your team. Maybe they're somebody from your elder team. Maybe they're a key volunteer. And just pull them in and brainstorm with them for 30 minutes before you ever try to see what's happening elsewhere. Let your human creativity and your human imagination and your human curiosity lead the way. Because here's the deal. God gave you a brain for a reason. He gave you a brain for a reason, and he wants you to use it creatively. Are there times where you need to get templates, where you need to get some coaching, where you need some serious consulting when you're in trouble or you're in over your head? Absolutely. Absolutely. But just because somebody from the outside gives you a template or a word does not mean that is exactly what God wants or what God will use in your specific situation. Hope this is giving you some clarity rather than confusion, giving you some courage to unleash your own creativity, the creativity that God has given you out of the knowledge that he's given you about where he has you and where you're serving. If there's any way that I can help you, feel free to reach out to me, podcast@chemistrystaffing.com. I'd love to hear from you, and check us out over at chemistrystaffing.com if there's any way that we can help you in any of your healthy church staff initiatives, hiring. If you need to let somebody go, if you need some compensation analysis, that's what we do, and that's what we're passionate about. So you can reach out to me, podcast@chemistrystaffing.com if you're interested. All right, tomorrow we're going to continue our series, actually end our series on the human touch. And we're talking about emotional intelligence and how to lead with emotional intelligence tomorrow.